Hello, everybody. My name is Oliver Bass, joined alongside by none other than Pyro J, and this is the Esports.net Recap Show, a show recapping key moments and key events from around the world of esports in the last week. And well, we're kicking this one off the same as we did the last. It is Rocket League time once again because, my goodness, the season has kicked off. We have seen already the first regional event of the year for Europe, the Winter Open, and we've got the Winter Open now upcoming for NA. Before we get into North America and what's to come, let's take a look back at what happened in EU. Pyro, break down exactly how we kicked off this event.
Listen, we're coming off a hot major, okay, and a lot of shakeup in EU, so tons of questions. Now we have the answers. The start of the group stage was pretty okay, Bass. A lot of expected results with Carmine Corp, G1, even Oxygen especially, leading their groups. But there was one group in particular where there was pure mayhem. Vertigo Esports just causing complete chaos, taking out Team Liquid, taking out Tundra. Tundra finished 0-3 in their group. Does that happen? Who expected that? Hopefully nobody, if they had the right mind, but apparently the right mind was otherwise. One other thing to mention, though, Bass, is can't forget about our world champions, BDS. Where did they stack up? Let's talk about how well they did. They lost in round one of playoffs. Rest in peace, BDS. Rest in peace.
It hurts. I really don't know what else to say. Both a big BDS fan as well as also honestly a super fan to a degree. I actually worked on the World Championship last year and on the wildcard stage,
Sure.
And as a result, I get tattoos for all of the events that I work. This is a flying baguette with a superhero mask and cape to represent BDS. So I am a big fan, a super fan, if you will. And unfortunately, this team has had a super failure as of lately. They have had worse and worse results every single event since they have gotten back into RLCS this year. This is kind of just the tipping point, if you will. They finished 3rd to 5th in qualifiers, which is not that bad going into the year, locked themselves in a spot. And then after that, they barely made top 8 2 events in a row, actually failing to make top 8 in their final one. And then coming into this split, they do the same thing again. Yes, they do make it into the playoff bracket, but they don't go any further than that. Like you said, losing to Moist Esports, and not just losing to Moist Esports. Pyro, they got swept. Literally 0-3, just mopped the floor with this team, and unfortunately, this seems to only be the beginning of the problems here, because again, Moist Esports, not a bad team, but wasn't good on the day, man. 1-2.
Yeah, can I say this? Like, Moist Esports, not technically consistent.
Yeah.
Like, not the Moist they were, right? No one will forget Rise, Joy over Tira. It's not that. More on Rise later, but Bass, let's hear. We heard about the shortcomings of BDS. How did the whole tournament wrap up?
So, days 2 and 3 were about as eventful as the first day of the event here, but for kind of different reasons. It was more of the story of the underdogs. This was a very weird bracket. The top 8 teams that actually made it into the top 8 were Moist Esports, Oxygen, G1, Carmine, Liquid. Now, those are the expected ones. Here's where we get a little bit crazy. Sonics, with their brand new roster, headed up by none other than the Englishman Smokes, who, shout out to Smokes, a very up-and-coming and prosperous player as it stands right now, also made it in. They did lose to Oxygen in their first round in the quarterfinals. But Team Vitality found themselves another appearance in playoffs. They actually topped their group. They went 3-0 through the first day. And not only did they do that, they then beat the Moist Esports that ended up beating BDS the day prior. In addition to that, German Amigos, fresh off of being dropped by Evil Geniuses, found themselves an appearance in the first round, and actually even went further than that. They made it to the semifinals, beating Team Liquid 4-1 in the quarterfinals. They ended up losing Carmine Corp on day 3 of the event championship Sunday, and Carmine Corp would go on to win the entire event in the finals, but they ended up playing up against Vitality. Oxygen Esports lost to Vitality in the semifinals in a 4-3 fashion, a nail-biter of a Game 7, and well, as we said, Vitality ended up losing 4-1 to Carmine Corp, which is, honestly, there's a lot of surprises here. First off, German Amigos are a team that you talk about inconsistency. They have not been consistent over the last year. They were very close to being able to make it to the Rotterdam Major, but they did not. So now here to get themselves a top 4 finish to kick it off has got to feel good. And but honestly, no one's feeling better than Vitality right now. My goodness. Carmine Corp expected for them to win this. Vitality making finals. Maybe 2 out of the 16 million people watching could have. There's no way anybody thought Vitality was making second.
You're saying the Carmine Corps feeling amazing. I'd say the whole country of France is feeling wonderfully. That was an all-French grand final in Europe. Come on, European countries, everybody else. Show them what you got. I will tell you, though, Oxygen Esports, they've been showing people what they got. There's a lot of hype around Carmine Corps, and for good reason, 4 grand finals in a row, but Oxygen Esports and Carmine Corps never met. So keep an eye out for that, folks. I think that's absolutely the team to watch, especially with that addition to Rise. Speaking of Rise, Bass, there was a little bit of murmuring that there might be that EUNA transfer from Rise, which shook up the whole scene in NA. Hello, we got to talk about North America. What happened?
Yeah, so as we wrap up EU and look towards what is the next week, the way that it works in the RLCS circuit here is we go NA, EU, NA, EU, NA, EU, or I guess technically backwards. We start off with EU this time. But the reality is that we flip-flop back and forth. So as we look ahead to the next week, we got to actually look a little bit back before this event started to recognize how NA has shaped up. 2 big things really happened during the offseason. Or actually, I would say 3 to 4 really big things happened. But there's 2 that we want to focus on here today. The first one being, like you said, Rise baited that he was going to be moving to North America. He puts out a tweet, some rumors come out that there's potential that Rise will be leaving Moist Esports. Now, everybody knew this was happening, but they didn't know where he was going. Initially, it was rumored Oxygen, where, as you can see, he ended up. But he did cause a little bit of calamity in North America by saying that he was going to go to version 1 in replacement of Calm, a superstar who had done so many things throughout the last year, has proven himself to be one of the best that North America has to offer. And so when Calm gets dropped, Optic Gaming goes, gimme. They immediately reach out to him, and Calm starts going into talks with them. The issue is that means Optic Gaming's Magic Bear then ends up getting dropped, and he's trying to figure out where he wants to go. Lo and behold,
domino effect.
It's a domino effect that never fell, because nothing ever happened. Every single domino was lined back up here, as Rise did end up going to Oxygen. Calm stayed on version 1, and Magic Bear stayed on Optic. So Rise just kind of being a thorn in the side of North America, just trying to ruin chemistry in any way he can.
I love it, you know, because EU is already doing their tirade of North America with Gen G having won, being in the grand finals of every single regional in the fall split with 2 European players. So, Bass, why not cause more chaos? You got to love it.
And, well, the chaos only began there. It continues on afterwards, because we got to talk about the actual trades and the actual changes that did happen here. The former Luminosity roster actually completely disbanded. In replacement of them, up came a brand new organization in M80. M80 picked up Lineblaze, Percy, and Kinsey. I actually got to watch their run-through qualifiers. They looked absolutely fantastic, and I punched their ticket through to the main event. A lot of people wondering how this organization is going to do. In addition, we have another new organization that is still kind of familiar faces, though. Rogue has actually been absorbed by Koi, a full Spanish organization made by none other than the streamer Ebai, and so that's a huge thing to have added to Rocket League here. And in addition to adding that organization, they also add a new player, Knight, formerly of the Randoms roster. After that Randoms roster got picked apart, everybody going different places, Chronic to Gen G, 2-piece to Shopify Rebellion, and then all of a sudden, Knight to Koi. So that's another roster we got to look at. But the last transfer we're going to mention here, Pyro, I'm going to let you do the honors, because my goodness, this was a big one.
Oh, Dignitas?
No, Lost.
What? Which one?
Lost.
Oh, come on. That was like bigger than big. I'm looking at people that performed in the qualifiers to get to the main event. We got to talk to people that are at main event that will play this weekend. Yes, Lost. Subbing in, I feel like he took the spot of Kaio in Furia. So that makes it very interesting. The South American teams that are in NA right now are just ridiculous. You already had the CRR move from EU to fill in on that spot from Complexity with 2 other South American players now in North America. Now you have the Furia spot, and Kaio's been trying to run amok in South America, but we don't need to talk about that. Ninjas in Pajamas, not the best performance. We're stuck on NA. Lots of moves. I mentioned Dignitas because you got Evo finally playing again, which I was very happy to see. We'll get to see them in the main event after their successful push in the qualifiers. There's so many moving parts. There's so many teams to watch. This main event this weekend is fully stacked, Bass. It is just org. Exceptional team after exceptional team after section. Try to make predictions, guys. I dare you. Please try to make predictions. And if anybody gets them right, you have my undying and unending respect.
Well, the 16 teams that are participating are Gen G, FaZe Clan, Version 1, Space Station, G2, NRG, Complexity, Furia, Optic, Shopify, Rebellion, Accrue, Dignitas, M80, Koi, Knights, and Team Axel. Going through that list real quick because unfortunately, we're out of time. We got to wrap up the show, but if you want to watch another show, tune in tomorrow to the first North American Regional of the entire year. My name is Oliver Bass, joined alongside by none other than Pyro J. This has been the esports.net recap show, and we hope that you guys have a good one. We will see you next week.